How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern. Friday here on the show, you know what that means. We got a lot to talk about here today. Not the least of which, SmackDown tonight. Bad Bunny is on SmackDown, which airs tonight from Puerto Rico. The WWE pay-per-view is tomorrow. We'll go over the full lineup for the show later on in the program today. A lot of matches announced for the show. And, we'll give you the lineup for SmackDown as well. Vince McMahon following a payment to WWE. One of the lawsuits against the company has been dropped. Specifically, a lawsuit against the executive chairman. We'll tell you what he did to get that thing dropped. 3 guesses. We've got updates on AEW All In Wembley. We actually don't have an update after the last couple of hours, but as of yesterday, 50,000 tickets, $6.5 million. And the official on-sale date is today. So we'll try to get some updates there, but it's looking big. I'm talking really big. And we still have months and months left until the show actually takes place, and no matches have been announced. The vast majority, I'm sure, will be sold by the end of this weekend, but you never know what'll happen as we get closer, and we'll see how everything starts to heat up with the expected Collision show debuting as expected in June. We've got notes on the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. That's going to be a whole show in and of itself. We've got more notes on Collision, what the plans are for that show. Dynamite on Wednesday, down 10% from last week. We'll give you all of the details on that, and plenty more as well. Lots of news to get into today. That should be exciting. We'll kick it off after the break. Observer Live.
I definitely think this is the new streak. You know, I did it WrestleMania 37, main event. It didn't think I could top that. Went and, stole the show with Becky Lynch last year, WrestleMania 38, and won this title, and, got to defend this title all year long against some amazing women. And now to walk into WrestleMania now and step in the ring with someone like Asuka and, defeat her and three-peat. It's been amazing. So, Asuka's amazing, and despite the mist, she's an incredible competitor. But yeah, I think I'm on the road to hopefully being Mrs. WrestleMania, and hopefully this is the new streak. Definitely, I think my journey into WWE is at the time when I came in was a little unique. It's more common now with more athletes coming into WWE and not really having much knowledge about it initially. But when I first came in, I saw Beth Phoenix, and I saw myself in her. She was someone who was muscular, and she was beautiful, and she embraced her feminine side, but also her muscles empowered her. I saw her picking up 2 women at one time. I'm like, my body can do that, and I want to do that. I saw myself in Jacqueline. I saw myself in so many amazing women in WWE, and they've inspired me. And even from when I was a little kid, even outside of wrestling, when I wanted to be an Olympic track athlete, and I saw myself in Gail Devers and FloJo and Dominique Dawes as a gymnast. And at the time when I was younger, I didn't understand what was happening. I was just gravitating towards people that looked like me. And that's when I, growing up, I realized representation is important. And so, it's very important. It shows you, where, the world sees where you fit your possibilities, but I also encourage people, if you see something that you want to do and you don't see anyone that looks like you, then you become that person and you open the door for everyone else. So, I was so excited for the Divas of Compton tonight. I think they just absolutely showed up and showed out. It's a journey, and it's not something that you just go through and you're over it. I still deal with it even to this day. But to know where I came from and where I am right now, it's been a journey, and that's why I'm so open about it. Because I know how when I was going through it, I felt like, I felt alone. And if I went through that, and I'm sitting here as Raw Women's Champion and 3-peat at WrestleMania, anybody can get through it, and I just want to be inspiration for that. And that's what this is really all about. I feel like My journey in WWE, you know, my going three-peat at WrestleMania, my starting my legacy. It's not just about people watching what I'm doing. It's, you know, I want people to remember me for how I made them feel, how I inspired them.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Like Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. It's Friday on the show. Normally Friday is like, whatever. But we got a lot to get into, actually. Plenty of news here today. First off, SmackDown is tonight, as everyone's well aware. Bad Bunny is going to appear on the show. Cody is going to appear on the show. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Karrion Kross and the OC will be taking on the Viking Raiders. This is all leading to the pay-per-view tomorrow, where 7 matches are announced. We have Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sammy versus Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. And in theory, the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus the Usos story ends tomorrow because they are all going to different brands, and allegedly, that's it. Is that it? Well, of course not, but that's what they're claiming. So if they're going to have Solo turn on the Usos or whatever they're going to do, tomorrow's the day that, in theory, they have to do it. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega for the title. It's a championship match in Puerto Rico with Zelina challenging for the belt. Seth Rollins versus Omos, which it was like one of Vince's things that he has to do now that he's back is just make random Omos matches for every show because the guy's big. I have no idea why Seth Rollins is facing Omos. They've done virtually zilch to make... In fact, I will say this. They've done zilch to make you care about it. They've done virtually zilch to build it up one way or the other. So, whoop-de-doo.
Wait a second.
Yes?
Wait. They have a new title now, and I know that Vince loves making random Omos matches. I mean, who wouldn't? But could this be because Seth Rollins needs to beat a giant on the way to winning the new World Heavyweight Championship?
You know what's funny, Mike, is that's not the worst idea, but I think it could be far worse. And that is that Omos beats Seth Rollins so that after Seth Rollins becomes the World Heavyweight Champion, they can feud throughout the summer. Because if there's anything these fans would want more, it is Omos. More Omos, including in championship matches.
Omos. Omos.
What are you doing?
What? Starting a new chant.
Stop it immediately.
All right.
Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, Bronson Reed for Theory's title. Bianca Belair and Io Sky for Bianca's title. I'm not even saying what title they are because it's like they have to swap them at some point, so who cares? And Bad Bunny will be taking on Damian Priest. The crowd is going to be nuclear. The building may melt. I can confirm the building might actually melt, even though it's made in part of stone. So be excited for that tomorrow, everybody.
Do they still throw batteries and rocks and bags of urine? Because if they do in Puerto Rico, boy, is Dominic Mysterio going to have a long night, especially after he helps Rhea Ripley win her match and take home that title. It's going to be insane.
The other big story, obviously, is All In. The pre-sale ended up with 50,000 tickets sold and $6.5 million at the gate. The other day, they were at 35,000. And we said, if they don't sell one more ticket, this show is still a big success at 35,000. But they continued to sell another 15,000 tickets the next day. So they're now at 50,000, 6.5 million. It is the most attended AEW show of all time by multitudes. It is the biggest gate of all time. And the official on sale started today. And it is at least 60,000 now. 60,000 tickets sold.
Man.
I have heard rumors that it is at 65,000, but I know that it is at least at 60, and it is May 5th. So we still have 3.5 months left to sell tickets. Now, I do believe that the vast majority of tickets will be sold by the end of this weekend, okay? But there's a lot of big things coming for AEW, not the least of which is Collision, which is believed to be starting in mid-June. That will be the new Saturday show, which we could talk more about, but it's looking like there's going to be 2 shows, Dynamite and Collision, that are considered to be the A shows. And we'll get into that more here in a while. But Rampage is going to end up being what Dark and Elevation used to be. And, CM Punk is expected to be the face of Collision. And so they will have 2 first-run 2-hour shows weekly. This is starting in June. They will start building up matches for the Wembley Stadium show. And so, if you think that, they sell 68,000 or whatever by the end of this weekend, and they're going to sell no more tickets, that's not going to happen. So now we're looking at how close are we to all-time records for all companies, and can they break the legitimate attendance record of WWE with this show? So we shall find out over the next 3 months or so. But 60,000 tickets, and probably at this point, $8 million gate, I would think, maybe less, because these tickets being sold now are probably cheaper than the ones they sold originally, but probably $7.5 million gate at this point. So there you go. Not bad for a T-shirt company.
That's a lot of people. It's a lot sold already, months away, and not having any matches announced. So regardless of the, anything that takes place on the event at the gate, no one can deny that this was a massive success. Yes, it was a roll of the dice for them to go ahead and start out with Wembley as opposed to Craven Cottage or something like that, but it's a gamble that paid off. So huge success. Now you just have to follow it up with a great show so people remember it for actually being a huge, amazing event and not just, the first time they were there and they sold a bunch of tickets.
So tonight also is Rampage. And the firm deletion is tonight. After watching the segment on the farm, I have high hopes for the firm deletion. I presume it's already been taped and everything because, we had spoilers for Rampage a couple of days ago, and no firm deletion was shown to the crowd. So we can all watch it coming up. Actually, I think in a couple hours, because I think... What is it, 2:30 today or something like that?
2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
Yes, no staggered feed once again for those of you on the West Coast.
That's not a good time.
No. Hey, but let me just ask you something.
3:30 Pacific here.
3:30 and 6:30. They don't have to have Solo Sikoa turn on the Usos. With the way they've been telling these stories, the only thing they really need to do is probably, obviously, have the good guys get the victory there and have some sort of miscommunication happen that can play into this whole very slow-moving storyline, because if Sammy and Kevin are not going to be any part of this deal, this is going to be all about the Usos and Solo and Roman. That's the direction they've been going, so I don't think they have to make it so forceful and have Solo turn or Jay turn or something like that. They just need to have some sort of small miscommunication that pisses off Roman.
All right, when we come back, we got a lot more to talk about. Vince McMahon lawsuit update. We have got this tournament World Heavyweight Championship Tournament, Collision notes, and the AEW Dynamite ratings from Wednesday. So back in a moment with more Observer Live.
TNT champ, man. How does it feel to hear that right now? Like, hey, you're the champ.
It's wild. It's crazy because, I mean, I was talking to Chris Jericho the night I won the championship. And then, he texted me the next day. And he was like, it's almost like a Cinderella story. You can go from enhancement talent to TNT champ. And during that pandemic era, nobody knew who the hell I was besides anybody local to the Bay Area in California. So it's wild. You were at Revolution. You were at the media scrum.
Yep.
You saw what I told Warlow.
You did. Yeah.
You were there. You have video footage of it. I meant that. I took that to heart. I don't think anybody knew I was coming in. I was just hanging around the building being nosy and, he's getting interviewed. So I had to let Warlow know how I felt. And as far as this new alignment everybody's talking about with QT and I have always been tight. Like, everybody loves when pro wrestlers shoot, so we're gonna shoot for a minute. QT was the one that texted me in the summer of 2020 to see if I was a local talent and I could come out to Jacksonville, and I'm all the way in California. And so I had just got laid off. My daughter was a few months from being born. I just rolled the dice, threw it out all on the line, and QT has been there every step of the way. He has had some type of guidance, input on every single match that I've had, and I'm 100% sure he doesn't need me to tell all our business, but he's been helping me since day one.
What is the mindset? Because you're going to be on a different level, on a different plateau, and people are going to look at you differently, and you're going to have different responsibilities when you're holding gold.
For me, I don't believe anything until it actually happens. I didn't believe I was winning the belt until my arm was raised and the belt was in my hand. So that whole reaction, what you saw on TV, was 100% real. As far as being one of the faces of the company now, it's something that I've always wanted. And I believe whether you have championship gold or not, you need to represent the company to the fullest, and that's what I've been doing since day one. The only difference now is that I have championship gold. I have a higher standard. I have to not take my foot off the pedal. So that means training harder, studying harder, asking more questions, taking care of business in the ring, being more aggressive, and just taking everything up 100%.
Let's talk those goals, man. Short-term goals, long-term goals. Where do you see yourself by the end of this year, in the next 5 years? What are we talking?
I see myself being, by the end of the year, still having some type of goal of mine is being the first African-American world champion. I plan on being the face of the company. I plan on bringing a different aspect and culture to AEW.
What is your definition of that when you mean like bringing in like a different culture?
Bringing in people who normally don't watch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Just making people I wanted to be must-see TV. That's what I want AEW to be. So anyone that's normally that doesn't tune into wrestling, I want to create a buzz and have people wonder, who's this Powerhouse guy?
Right on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Hey, we're going to Vegas. Yes, Double or Nothing weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. You should go. I'm going to tell you how. First, you can go to my Twitter at Bryan Alvarez. And there's a link up there. Come party with Dave and Bryan. With this view, there's a view from the Cosmopolitan.
Is this how this was written?
That's how it's written here on the front page, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to f4wonline.com/Vegas, and you can check out this convention. And we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing. Saturday, meet and greet with Dave and I. Then there is a Q&A with Dave and I, followed by a professional wrestling show that Ed in San Antonio is promoting, which I am not wrestling on. Do you understand?
Was it Poder Cinco?
Yeah, Cinco. Yeah.
5 of them.
And then we have the F4W Suite Party on Saturday night. Listed here, 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Tom's got a show that he's doing in Vegas. So you could actually go to the Suite Party, go to the show, come back to the Suite Party. You can do all of this.
See if you can keep up with Filthy Tom.
Yeah, you can't. And then Sunday, we have got the brunch at the Wicked Spoon in the morning. And then Double or Nothing is in the evening. And Friday, actually, we have got a dinner at Texas de Brazil, which is a Brazilian steakhouse. All-you-can-eat meat and salad bar. All of these things we're going to be doing. So if you would like to go, f4wonline.com/Vegas. We also have some ticket packages available, including a couple of ticket packages that include a ticket to Double or Nothing. You can get the Double or Nothing ticket, the meet and greet, the Q&A, and the wrestling show. All of that is available as a package. The meet and greet, Q&A, and the wrestling show without the Double or Nothing ticket. The Q&A and the wrestling show alone. The wrestling show. We've got, which, by the way, if you get a ticket to the Q&A, you can go to Ed's show free. What about that? Texas Day Brazil dinner, if you want to have dinner with us at the Brazilian Steakhouse. Tickets to the Suite Party, where we're going to have boatloads of pizza and liquor. Yeah. That's only $49.99 to go have pizza and liquor and hang out with everybody at the Cosmo. And then the brunch at the Wicked Spoon. So if you want to go and have some fun, man, every time we've done one of these, it's been fun. So if you want to do it, f4wonline.com/Vegas. All of the ticket packages are available. And I think we actually have 2 seats where you can sit in the suite with Dave and watch him as he watches Double or Nothing and takes all of his notes. That's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right there.
Yeah, that's nice and everything, but what if I want to sit in the vicinity of Vinny? How do I do that?
Well, I don't know what you can do about that.
Are you sure?
I think he's actually in the section that we have tickets for, so.
Are there any rules against talking to Vinny? Like, I don't want to hear anything about the NFL draft right now. I'm not doing that.
I don't
Please
think there's
leave me
any
alone.
rules like that, no.
Okay. Especially if you get him liquored up enough with the pizza going on at the Suite Party.
Following a Vince McMahon payment to WWE, a consolidated lawsuit filed in Delaware by shareholders against the company's executive chairman was dropped on Wednesday. The reason the suit was dropped was due to McMahon repaying $17.4 million in late March for expenses related to the investigation surrounding hush money allegations that came to light last summer. As a result, the initial reason for the lawsuit was considered moot. That's a real word, everybody. Moot.
So the point is moot.
It's ridiculous, but it's a real word. $17.4 million covers the cost of the investigation, but not the near $20 million that Vince allegedly paid multiple accusers of sexual misconduct. McMahon resigned from WWE last summer under the pretense of retirement.
That new stock is looking good for some people, I think.
So the 17.4 is the cost of that investigation. Dude, I need to become an investigator. $17.4 million to conduct an investigation?
Look at how these things work. These auditing companies, they come in once something happens, like, you know, the company that had to go, you know, check on Enron and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, there's money to be made where there's money being made.
So now, remember I said the word moot was funny? An interesting note from the Bloomberg piece stated, lawyers for the Consolidated Shareholder Group now want a mootness fee.
A mootness fee?
A mootness fee. Counsel for the WWE investors indicated they plan to seek a mootness fee as a reward for their role in forcing him to pay the money he owed.
It'll be a mountainous journey to get to that mootness fee.
Yeah, it's going to be another multiple $1 million. So, yeah, he paid his money, and now the thing has been dropped. And it's amazing when you have money, what you can get away with.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
God bless America. You may even make it to the Supreme Court one day.
Person notes, I can't even find my YouTube plaque. Well, if I had $17.4 million to find it, I'd have it this afternoon.
I think we know where the plaque is. It's just a matter of where the whale is.
No, we don't know where the plaque is. Well, we know the plaque is with the whale, but I don't know where the whale's at.
See,
I don't know where this guy can turn up.
That's something maybe Whale Scout ought to look into, is maybe like tagging, Oreo, and then you'll actually know with some GPS where exactly he's floating around in the world.
WWE revealed more information on how its new World Heavyweight Champion will be decided. At WWE's pre-Backlash press conference, Triple H announced that the World Heavyweight Championship tournament will begin on Raw this coming Monday, okay? The WWE World Heavyweight Championship will be the Raw exclusive championship. Therefore, it is starting on Raw Monday, okay? There will be 2 triple threat matches on the episode. The winners will then face off against each other later that night to decide who will advance to Night of Champions. I'm already confused. 2 triple threat matches. Hold on. It gets better. 2 triple threat matches will also take place on SmackDown next Friday. Those winners face each other in the main event of that episode. The winner from SmackDown will face the winner from Raw to determine the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion of Raw. Which means the finals of the Raw tournament after this draft will be somebody from SmackDown facing somebody from Raw, okay? Which means, theoretically, okay, that if the SmackDown person wins the Raw title, well, I would presume that person is now a Raw talent. Which, of course, begs the question, like, if this were real, okay, if this was a real thing, why would you, as a SmackDown GM, allow anyone to compete in this tournament, knowing that if they do well, you lose them? Well, you wouldn't, because that would be stupid. Because this whole thing is stupid. Because last week on SmackDown, they actually said SmackDown and Raw wrestlers will be eligible for the title that will only be on Raw. Then, on Monday, Paul Heyman came out and said, Roman Reigns would really like that belt, but he can't compete for it because he's not on Raw. Which led to me thinking, wait a second, and now they're saying that, in fact, SmackDown wrestlers can compete for the Raw title. But you see, this all ties into what I was talking about yesterday. You want to know why Roman Reigns can't compete for the title?
Why?
Because he ain't around to be in the tournament. Because it seems to me that as the champion, as the crown jewel, so to speak, the focal point of SmackDown, he should be able to be in that triple threat match to determine who is going to the Night of Champions. But he's not. Because it's stupid. You notice? I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but this show was really stupid until about July when Vince stepped down. And then from July all the way through almost WrestleMania, like, you may not have liked the show, you may have had a criticism about this or that, but you know what it wasn't? It wasn't stupid like it used to be. Well, now he's back because he paid off a bunch of people for things that he had done that were wrong. He used all of his money, and now he's back, and you know what? Things are stupid again. Seems to me there's a correlation here between, Vince being around and things being stupid. So I think this whole thing is stupid. I don't know why we got SmackDown wrestlers wrestling for a Raw title. It doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. And, so anyway. Great.
Saudi money, baby. That's why. You need to have all of your stars that you can compete for it. So who is going to be that person from SmackDown who ends up coming out the victor and all that sort of stuff that can show their wares against either, I guess, Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins? I mean, who else is it going to be right now? Omos?
DJ says the belt was commissioned prior to Vince's return. Hey, listen, okay? Listen, here's a great example of what I'm talking about, okay? If you want to argue that you don't like the idea that the Universal Champion is going to one brand and we're making a brand new belt for the other brand, okay? If you don't like that idea, that's one thing, okay? But it is not what you could say is like a stupid idea, All right, the way that they explained it, the way that Triple H did his speech, that was stupid. But the idea that there's one, we got belt for this brand belt, that's not a stupid idea. A brand split is not a stupid idea, okay? What is stupid is the execution. And all of the execution of these ideas since Vince came back has been stupid. That's the problem.
That's a great point, Brian, but since Vince is back, now everything's moot.
I want a mootness fee for having to watch these shows and try to explain everything to you guys. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
I want to talk about how this interview came about because
when I told you me and you got beef, I got heat with you. Yeah.
it was literally like the
saw the
best
look
friend.
on your face. It's
How
like
was
one of
it?
those I effed up looks, but I was just joking with you.
No, I loved it though because it was so funny because I'm seeing you and you're like, oh, me and you, we got beef. And I'm like, oh my God. Inside my head, I was like, I got beef with Powerhouse Hobbs. This is not good. This is not good. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to have to go ahead and confront him and ask him what I did. And it was so funny when you told me that it was a joke. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like this huge, immense, like relief went over me. I got ribbed on. This is awesome.
You did. I got you.
I remember when you had that match with CM Punk at Grand Slam Rampage, and that being his first televised match after the Darby Allin match, the pay-per-view match. And I remember thinking like, damn, I'm like, this is such an incredible spot for Hobbs. Like the fact that he's getting this opportunity, it was crazy. It was just a win across the board for you.
It was a big test. I was Christian Cage's second televised match. Opened up Saturday Night Dynamite against Hangman Page. My very first Dynamite match before I got signed was against Darby Allin. And when I got signed, I had a FTW match against Brian Cage opening the show. So I've had plenty of opportunities where I got to showcase and prove myself time after time. Every time I've been in a big time spot, I've felt I've knocked it out the park. And
delivered. And people see that. People notice it with the QTV. I think the concept is pretty cool.
Hilarious.
It's so funny. Yeah. What did you think of it?
I love it. When we have our QTV episodes and whoever the victim is, they don't like it, but what are they going to do, fight us?
It's great. I love it. I love all of the influences that it's taking from and like just mixing it all into this, one little wrestling universe.
I was told by my grandparents, everyone has a purpose in life. And I've always felt this was my purpose, to be a professional wrestler and entertain people. So it took a while, but I'm here and making the most of it. It's one of those things where I sit back when I'm alone and be like, damn, I'm actually here. So I'm not taking it for granted, making the most of it. This whole journey's been wild since I've been with AEW. And I haven't even hit 3 years yet.
Who are your top 3 favorite wrestlers growing up?
Oh, man, top 3. Let's see. Man, it all depends what type of mood I was in. Sometimes I had an attitude growing up as a kid and I was a little asshole. Sometimes I wanted to be a funny, goofy guy. But my top 3, if I got to narrow it down right quick, one would have to probably be, I love Ravish and Rick Rude, Booker T, and it's a little mixture and tie between Brock, Rock, and Austin.
Who are some of the people that, like, besides QT that you've reached out to or that you have, like, good conversation with in regards to advice, critique?
Billy Gunn is one, Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, Mark Henry. I talked to Big Show, Dustin Rhodes. There's so many people that I go to for advice, or they'll come up and just give me advice. And it's wonderful when you have a vet who wants to sit down and watch your match with you.
All right, a couple of things right here. So I'm looking at the ticket maps and that sort of thing on WrestleTix. And we'll have a good number. We'll have a good number here probably pretty soon. But according to WrestleTix, it appears that the number as of right now could be, and I quote, well above 60,000. So earlier in the show, I said that the rumor number was 65. I knew it was over 60. But we may be nearing 65, 70 at this point for this show. So
Tony needs to get into the working numbers game, so when this thing finally happens, he can announce like 111,000 people. Whatever, like, over the capacity is for Wembley, it should be one more person than that. You know, everybody that's there, the parking attendants, everything. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. It'll be interesting to see how much they actually set up and what the stage and all that is going to be, too, because, you know, that's going to be pretty elaborate.
All right, Collision. Got to talk about Collision here. As the date for the yet-to-be-announced AEW Collision looms near, more details being discussed as it relates to CM Punk's return to the company, the discussed roster split between Dynamite and the Saturday show. According to Dave in the New Observer, which you can grab as a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com, you get all of the bits and pieces on the front page and around the internet, but you don't get the entire 40,000 words every week. They're in the Observer. Everything you ever wanted to know about what happened the prior week in professional wrestling. So check out WrestlingObserver.com, sign up, and read the whole issue yourself. Because, as was the case with at least one story today, what ended up on the internet was not exactly what Dave wrote. So if you only looked at that, you didn't get the whole story. Anyway, the updated plan is for, quote, less than a hard roster split between the two shows, and that Punk will appear on Dynamite when needed. However, quote, those with unresolved issues with Punk would be on Collision the week that he's on Dynamite. He also wrote that, quote, the idea is to get people to resolve issues, but that has not happened yet, nor has there been any notable progress. When it comes to the female talent, the thought is the split will not be hard at all with the women, as they don't believe there is enough star power to do a hard brand split. None of the details above are final. The discussed new 2-hour show is expected to air on TNT on Saturdays from 8 to 10, kicking off at a yet-to-be-announced late June United Center event that would feature Punk's first AEW appearance since last September's All Out.
Are they going to start holding these things at like CYO halls and like bingo halls and Teamsters halls or something? Like, you can't keep like two factions away from each other. And I know, look, you have to be there at a certain time. There has got to be some sort of way where you can keep, if you need star power on a show where you're bringing CM Punk on and you want, like, we'll see how it goes, how this whole thing goes, but that's crazy. Where it's just going to be, we're not going to resolve it, because that sounds like to me is we're not going to resolve this. We have no plans to resolve it. Whether we're trying or not at this point, I don't know. But like, if you're going to switch people that way, it's like, again, is this the right idea?
Well,
is this
listen,
the right move?
Hey, I hesitate to say anything because I don't want people reporting what I'm saying here as like a fact, because I have no idea. But, I mean, is it possible? Because, you know, all the way back to the whole thing, we've had this problem over and over and over again, where people want Tony and everybody else to talk about this, and he's never going to say anything about it. And I've said it 1,000 times. He's never going to say anything about it, okay? And it's not just because he's trying to be difficult or making people upset, but it seems pretty clear to me that legally he is not allowed to say anything about it, okay?
Yes, that's
so,
for sure.
Is it possible that legally CM Punk and the Elite can't be in the building together? Is that possible? I don't know. I don't want people to report that's
possible.
What happened.
That's not possible then, because then you got a real big problem at Wembley. Because then
that's what I was about to get to. Forget Wembley, okay? All pay-per-views going forward. All right? Yeah. Do you remember what WWE used to do when they really were trying to do this stupid brand split? It was to the point where they had Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views. And then eventually, you know, they were trying to do 2 pay-per-views a month. What a miserable time in my life that was, by the way.
Yeah.
So eventually they just brought it down to single pay-per-views, and then, you know, the Raw people would face the Raw people, the SmackDown, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, CM Punk is largely going to be on Saturday. If he's needed on Wednesday, he'll be Wednesday. But when he's on Wednesday, the Elite apparently will not be on Wednesday. They'll be on Saturday. They will never be in the same place at the same time, is what this says to me. So now what happens for the pay-per-view? Is CM Punk going to alternate pay-per-views with the Elite?
Why can't somebody just stay on the damn bus? Why can't, if that's the issue, then you have enough money. It's not like some of these folks don't have buses. I mean, there's got to be a better way then where, okay, this whole clique, while CM Punk's segments are going on or while you need him for pre-tape or whatever, it seems like that would be an easier thing to just call them out walkies and go, okay, make sure they're out of here because we're coming into this. As opposed to, I don't know, that seems like it would make more sense than if you can't get along, you got to be grown-ups about this because we have to do this because this is what WBD wants or whatever it is. If this is what Tony wants, whatever it is, if it's going to be this way, we actually have to have some professional parameters going on so we can have people in the same building at the same time without having to bring in national security because we think something is going to pop off. And if that's going to be the case, then WBD needs to come off some money. If they're the ones who are helping to push this, then you bring the security in and you bring people in to make sure that they're separated or buy them the buses to keep them apart. It's insane. This is so ridiculous.
The buzz around what Collision will end up being, Dave provided interesting details to the future direction of Rampage. He noted that Rampage will, quote, turn into what Dark and Dark Elevation were, more to showcase younger talent. Last week, he reported Rampage would remain on TNT on Fridays in an hour-long format, even after the expected launch of the new Saturday show on TNT in June. Direction is notable as both Dark and Dark Elevation quietly wrapped up their runs on YouTube last month, due to an exclusivity clause signed with Warner Brothers. Which, by the way, sounds like they have negotiated a new deal. And we don't seem to have any details of this deal. But, I mean, if we've got a new show coming, and now we have an exclusivity clause where they can no longer put these shows on YouTube, it sounds to me like they came to a new agreement. And I don't know what the deal would be worth, etc.
Well, it could just be an amended agreement now with this going on, and taking place that, okay, we're relaunching WBD, or we're relaunching Max and all that sort of stuff. So may not necessarily be a new deal. It just may be an amendment onto what they have.
Well, they're adding a new show for 2 hours on Saturday night, so I think that's a new deal.
Obviously, yes, that is a new deal. You're right.
Yes. Meltzer noted the plan is for Dynamite and Rampage to tape together on Wednesdays, as has been the norm with Collision and Ring of Honor taping together on Saturdays. ROH airs on Honor Club is not part of the exclusivity clause for now. Quite frankly, dude, they don't need Dark and Elevation, okay?
No.
Like, here's the thing. I know a lot of people like Dark and Elevation, and I didn't watch it, but the fact of the matter is, what was the idea behind Dark and Elevation? It was to get people reps, because we use that word all the time. People need to get reps. But you know what? It's now been years, and, a lot of these people that needed reps, they're better, but they're not, like, miles better. Because at the end of the day, what were they getting reps doing? They were getting reps doing squashes. They were getting reps doing 3-minute matches. They were getting reps going in there and doing their big spots and whatever. That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for, you got to get out there, and you need to do... Here's the thing with the reps. It has to be all sorts of different things. That's why the best way to get reps is to, in the old days, you would just go territory. Nowadays, a lot of guys just like, I'm not signed anywhere. I'll do New Japan. I'll do this indie, that indie, this indie, that indie. Nick Wayne's a great example. Nick Wayne works everywhere from Defy to GCW to, he's going to, the UK, everywhere. All right. So what getting reps is you're having long matches with different people in front of different crowds doing different things. You're dealing with everything you'd ever have to deal with in wrestling, doing it right. That's getting reps. Otherwise, if it's just going in there and doing a 2-minute squash match, it's essentially, aside from a crowd that's just kind of sitting there, it's the same as just, go do practice matches at, wherever, at QT's school or whatever. I mean, so my point is, we don't need Dark and Elevation. It's too much to do. It's like, let's just do our main shows. And for some people, let them go out and work. Let them go out and do some stuff. But
it's not like there weren't good things on there, as far as if you're a fan of the independent scene, to see some people get some shine on those shows and get the graphics and all that stuff. I mean, it really it was a nice thing. Again, there was so much going on. I rarely had a chance to watch it. I would end up seeing more of it on Botchamania because of Excalibur and Taz going back and forth and them using a lot of that stuff. But, this is just the evolution of things right now. And they have, again, they're going on 5 hours of TV they're going to have on national TV. They got to worry more about the people that they do have right now and figuring out how to layer a mid-card and a lower mid-card and all of that sort of stuff, because that's something they haven't mastered yet.
Wednesday's Dynamite, 776,000 viewers, down 10%, lowest audience since October 18, which was a Saturday airing. For a Wednesday episode, it is the lowest viewership in almost a year, June 15, 2022. 18 to 49, eighth on cable, 0.28, which actually, as far as 18 to 49, is the same it's done for the past 4 weeks. Ties Dynamite's fifth lowest rating of the year. Programming related to the NBA and NHL playoffs took 5 of the 7 top spots on cable. Vanderpump Rules and Watch What Happens Live on Bravo. That's a new one. Watch What Happens Live?
They've had that before. I think didn't it used to be that was the post show for all those reality shows? They had a post show. I think
is that what that is? Everybody, what's Watch What Happens Live? It's funny to even say it. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. Watch What Happens Live.
I think in one of those shows. I don't know.
Oh, it's the post show.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should have a post show to this show. Dagan can do it.
I was going to say, go for it. I'm out. Dynamite's ratings were even or down in most categories. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. You know what'd be fun is just when the show is over, just solely take feedback from the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat.
Hey, it worked for Howard Stern. He's got 2 channels.
Yeah, you know who's not on his post show? Him. As compared to the same week in 2022, Dynamite down 6.8% in total viewers, 12.5% in 18 to 49. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah?
It's Friday.
What do you want? And New Japan Resurgence, May 21st on New Japan World. We've got the New Japan Strong Women's Title Tournament Finals. Talk about introducing a bunch of belts. How many women are on Strong? I've watched every single solitary Strong ever, and I think the only women's match I ever saw was the one for the IWGP Women's title. Well, now we have a Strong Women's Championship.
So we can not have Stardom women come over here and wrestle for it.
Tanahashi and Ospreay for the #1 contendership to Kenny Omega's title. Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Shooter Umino will be facing Okada, Ishii, and Rocky Romero.
Love it.
Hikuleo versus Kenta for the Strong title. Fred Rosser, Juice Robinson in a street fight. Willow Nightingale and Momo Kogo for the New Japan Strong Women's title. It's a first-round match. And Mercedes and Stephanie Vaquer for the other first-round match.
Bring me Yota Tsuji, please!
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Very important. From day one, since I was given the opportunity to be a part of WWE, I was representing Lucha Libre, Hispanic, the culture. Lucha Libre is part of our culture. And to be able to have Bad Bunny, Damian Priest, even though we're rivals, but and now the rebirth of LWO, this is incredible. This is opening up doors for more Hispanics, más Latinos que se animen para poder entrar a WWE. Es una representación increíble porque only with WWE we can do it worldwide. Oh my God, you can only imagine. I already had mixed emotions from the Hall of Fame the night before, the rebirth of LWO, knowing that I had to fight my son. Knowing that my wife and my daughter were there, a lot of family members on top of that, you know, to be able to ride with Snoop was legendary. Nothing but a G-Thang baby is something that I heard when I was a kid. You know, I was growing up, everybody heard that song. And then to mix it up into Viva la Raza, the representation of the representer, the fullest representer of Hispanics, Eddie Guerrero. It's incredible. You know, I walked into that match very emotional, and a lot of my work tonight was in honor of Eddie Guerrero. So, 6 years ago, this mask has been in the projects. The creator of this mask is the creator of Hollywood, the Marvel Universe. So that's how deep we went. WrestleMania goes Hollywood. It was a perfect time. We didn't go superhero-ish. We went Hollywood style this year, and I was very happy with the outcome. On top of that, we had a mixture of the mask being made by a good friend of ours, Darnell, who again works for the universe of Marvel, and on top, Hayashi, my creator since 1996, who made the tights, the vest, and everything else. You know, I'm very happy with the outcome of the outfit tonight. I hope the fans loved it as much as I did.
Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. If you go to my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez, Dean Rasmussen has passed away. And there's a GoFundMe up there. You can still help his family, lots of medical bills. And if you've ever seen, and people have asked 1,000 times over the years, what is that thing you've got in the logo? You mean the Tilde Bang? Well, I blatantly stole it from Dean. He used to do reports on RSPW and Death Valley Driver back in the day. And these were the best reviews of anything that you ever imaginable. They were the absolute greatest. And apparently he would type them, and one day he was trying to hit the exclamation point, if I recall correctly, but right next to it on the keyboard is the Tilde. So he accidentally hit the Tilde before, and I guess he just thought, that's pretty cool. That's even more explanation, whatever. So anyway, he kept it, and it made all the reports 1,000 times better.
Expressive.
Yep, and then I stole it from him, and man, did I ever love reading those old. A lot of it was Japanese pro wrestling, but he was the greatest. So anyway, very sad to hear of his passing. And if you have a few dollars, you can head up there to the GoFundMe and toss a few dollars in and help his family in this time of need. So rest in peace to Dean, an all-time great of pro wrestling recaps, I thought. So anyway, we're out of time, everybody. I want to thank you all for listening here today. Back tomorrow. We'll be up after the Puerto Rico show, myself and Dave. Vinny and I, Sunday, will be the recap with Craig.
Jim Valley.
A lot coming up this weekend. Jim Valley tomorrow as well, of course. And Andrew on Sunday. And that's it. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners in the studio. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.